My 27F fiance, 27M, secretly went to Paris to see a female friend. Fake names. Throwaway because my fiance is a big Reddit user. My fiance Eric has a friend Jane, 20s, F, who lives in Paris, France. She had moved by the time we were introducing each other to our friends, so we've only met over video chat. Me and Eric have been together for a year and a half, and before we got together, he and Jane were involved. He told me it ended badly, but they did get over it. I don't know exactly what happened, I've never asked. She is really important to him. They do talk once or twice a month over text or video chat, and I know that they have a lot in common. I don't know Jane's situation, but Eric's parents were abusive, and I've pieced together that Jane's were as well. I've never gotten the impression that either one wants to go back to how it was, and he's never given me a reason to be insecure. Until now. He asked me to marry him 3 weeks ago, and I said yes. I was really excited to marry him. But then suddenly a few days ago he announced that he needed to go visit family. Which was weird because he cut his family off several years ago. He has expressed to me that he has no interest in seeing them again. He said that it was an important family emergency, and then just left. He kept me updated, and we talked a few times on the phone. He told me that his mom was having health issues. I had no reason to be suspicious. I'm reading that over and it sounds weird, but he's always been very touchy when it comes to talking about his family, and I didn't want to push it. But then, a couple hours ago I get a message from Jane asking if Eric was okay. I said that he was visiting family, so he was probably just a bit stressed out, which is why he wasn't responding to her messages. She then informed me that he is in Paris, with her, and snuck a photo of him in her apartment. I haven't replied to her yet. I'm freaking out. I have no idea what to do. He just got on a plane to fly for 12 hours to see her without telling me, presumably last minute. Why is he there? Do I talk to him? Has anyone else been in this kind of situation before? Update. Thank you for all the comments and advice. I read every single one, and I appreciate all of the advice. I'm sorry for the late update, but I am extremely tired and haven't really sat down in a week and a half. To just get to the point, I left him. A lot of people were concerned that he'd find the post, but I did change a lot of details. The main issue remains the same. Jane lives in a foreign country, at least 12 hours away, and he decided to go to her without telling me. I also did see some comments discussing the age gap between Eric and Jane. Jane is in her late 20s. I said 20s because I wasn't sure at the time how old she was. After I posted and the comments started rolling in, I had to shut my phone off. There were many people saying that Eric wanted to be with Jane, that he wasn't over her, and I started having a panic attack. I'm not an insecure person usually, and Eric had given me absolutely no reason to be. But this whole thing, I felt very stupid and like I'd been blind. He was always very open about his friendship with Jane and how much she meant to him, but there was absolutely nothing that made me think he still had feelings for her. Honestly, even if he told me he wanted to visit her without me, I'd probably have said that was fine as long as I got to go on my own vacation. Anyway, I got Jane on the phone the next day. Her story is that he just showed up at her door, claiming that he missed her and that he just needed to get away. She provided proof that she had no idea he was coming, and I have no reason to not believe her when she tells me nothing happened. I think she was angrier than I was. At the time she figured that something really bad must have happened, either with me or with his family. She knew from past experiences it was better to just let him talk when he was ready rather than pushing it. She gave it 2 days, during which he was behaving very impulsively, kept spacing out, and he brought up their past multiple times. They hadn't seriously spoken about since it ended years ago. He's usually the calmer, more level-headed of the two of them, so this behavior was extremely out of character. Finally, she decided to text me to see if I knew anything. After I told her that he was with his family, she put it together pretty quick that I had no idea where he was, and she confronted him about it. They got into a massive fight that lasted for hours, and she eventually told him to leave. She didn't really tell me what the fight was about, just that she yelled at him for not telling me, but after talking to him I've got a hunch. Me and Jane talked for a long time. Both of us were crying by the end of it. I think this whole thing opened up some wounds. She told me their history, a lot of which really surprised me. Like how they weren't even really boyfriend-girlfriend, and he's the one who ended it. He'd always given me the impression that it was a bad but ultimately mutual breakup. It was just a really toxic situation for both of them, and it took them a long time to get back to being actual friends after. Which brings me to my conversation with Eric. He showed up a few days after I talked with Jane. I had packed up and left to a friend's at that point. He came over to talk. My friend was in the place the whole time. We talked for a while. I asked him 100 questions and he answered 5 of them. He said he was sorry, that he can't provide an actual explanation for what he did because he doesn't understand why. I said that wasn't good enough, and I needed him to tell me what happened. He said he couldn't, because I won't understand. I suggested couples therapy for us. He's been doing it individually since before I met him, but he said he didn't want to. He just wants to forget that it happened. The positive explanation I have is that he had some kind of freak out after we got engaged, or maybe something did happen with his parents and he couldn't talk to me about it. Which is fine. I don't necessarily think that if someone is struggling, the first person they should always go to talk about it with is their partner. I'm totally fine with him going to Jane if he was freaking out over the prospect of us getting married, or if he did hear something about his mom. Obviously, don't fly to another country and lie about it, but that goes without saying. Jane could probably understand that better than I could and would know what to say. But he can't even talk to me about it now, nor is he making an effort, so how does that bode? He just wants to pretend that everything is fine and normal, and I just can't do that. On top of all of that, up until now he's never been secretive about how he feels or what he's thinking about or his history. He hates talking about it and is touchy about people asking a lot of questions about it, but he's always told me stuff if I ask. I think if he was panicking over getting married or if something actually happened with his mom, he'd tell me. I couldn't help myself and asked if it was because he just doesn't want to talk about the fact that he wants to be with Jane and regrets how he treated her. He denied it, but I think I hit a nerve. He claimed that he doesn't have any leftover feelings for her other than the fact that she's a big what if. She's important to him, but she's the past and I'm the future. This may just be my fear talking, but what if this whole time he's been using me to try to make Jane jealous because he's realized that he lost her? And he went to see her to see if she still wanted him just in case. I think that's what they fought about. I think he went there to see her because he's realized he still wants her. And she's been off living her life without him, no problem. It's bad enough if that is the case, but if I take him back, what if she changes her mind? I don't have a reason to believe she'll change her mind. She doesn't talk about him the way that I talk about someone I'm romantically interested in, and now that I know their history, I wouldn't want him back either, but who knows? After our conversation, it's obvious that he's not 100% certain that he wants to build a life with me, and he's not willing to do what it takes to fix this. I'm not worth the work. He won't even try. And that's basically the big issue for me. I can't build a life with someone who won't put in the effort. So I don't want to be with him. I told him to leave, and he left without a fight. I've blocked him on everything. I've talked to Jane a few times since, and they have spoken. She told me that he's probably going to take some time off work and figure stuff out. I hope you can get some help. Plus, I know it sounds utterly bizarre, but I think I've actually gained a friend in her. She's checked in on me multiple times and even helped put me in touch with a new place to live that I just moved into. I'm really tired. It's been a really horrible and busy time. Thanks for the support and the advice. I'm glad I found out now before we had started seriously planning, or worse, after we got married or had children. If I find out anything more, I'll update on my profile. If anyone has any advice on how to deal with the embarrassment or good ice cream flavors to get through the pain though,